How's it going, everyone? Want to talk a little bit about the future of PlayStation and a couple of topics pertaining to the future of PlayStation. One of them is, of course, a notable first-party studio in Insomniac Games. They've got a really ambitious roadmap, but Insomniac Games, earlier this week, Insomniac Games announced that its founder, Ted Price, will retire after over 30 years. This was last week that it was announced that Ted Price will be stepping down. He's retiring. I mean, he's had a long run, and we reminisced a little bit about Insomniac and what they've done. On top of that, they announced that there will be a trio of new bosses, and now Insomniac is looking at the future. In an interview with Variety, the studio bosses discussed Price's upcoming retirement, noting that as this trio takes over on great projects and with a really ambitious roadmap, our main thing to do first is to ensure continuity. We want to continue building on what we've started and really bringing great games to this world. We kind of already have a little bit of an idea of what's to come, but in the same interview it was noted we are very aware of fan expectations and we strive to meet them and exceed them with every game we make, and we just want to continue that run together. We know what makes Insomniac special. We know it takes us to keep us evolving and thriving into the future. Insomniac also noted that they're not ready to talk about Wolverine at this stage of the game, and they've noted while we'd love to talk more about Wolverine, we have to be like Logan today and remain very stoic until it's time to pop the claws down the road. And to me, this tells me one very obvious thing. Wolverine and the major Insomniac titles all have the same designation. You roll out the red carpet for the game when it's time to roll out the red carpet for the game. You be very coy until then. Remember, Spider-Man, when it got its initial reveal, E3 of 2016, red carpet reveal, looked incredible. Spider-Man 2, it got a reveal with a cinematic trailer alongside Wolverine, but it was ultimately the saving grace of that atrocious PlayStation showcase from 2023 that I will never let Sony live down. That show sucked, but Spider-Man 2 was set to be the big game at the end of that event. Wolverine is gonna be the big tentpole game at one of these events. I don't know if you roll it out at the showcase this year. It really comes down to whether or not this Venom game is happening this year. There were talks of that game getting adjusted to 2027 and then Wolverine being next year. I would say Wolverine is coming out in 2026. I don't think you should do a gameplay reveal this year. Do a gameplay reveal in June. You already had the leak happen and you had people see the game. Wait until the game is very polished. Wait until the game is damn near ready to be released. Do the big gameplay unveiling there, ramp up momentum, and then set it up for a big fall of 26 release. I just think that makes sense, and that's generally the formula that a lot of these studios have followed that's worked pretty well in terms of revealing a game that year, releasing it shortly thereafter. Ninja Gaiden 4 just had that, and I think that's a great way to handle it. And when I say reveal, I mean like the big gameplay reveal. I get it, Wolverine had that lame cinematic trailer back in 2021, but I mean the big gameplay reveal. I just think that's the way better way to handle these reveals. I get it that you gotta push consoles and you gotta do X, Y, and Z, but for Wolverine, I think you could just wait until 2026. Reveal it then. We already know 2025, it should be built around Death Stranding 2. It should be built around Ghost of Yotei. You have the games you're building around this year. Hopefully, you know, a Venom can come out this year because it would be really nice if we had another game, you know, really rounding out the PlayStation catalog, because Microsoft's gonna have a banner 2025. Let's try to have PlayStation have a fraction of as good of a year in terms of their output. I get it, the Xbox games are coming to PlayStation as well, but PlayStation's output has just been rather disastrous recently, and fair game ain't gonna do it for me. I'm sorry, fair game ain't gonna take me there. Hopefully, you know, one of these studios can get something out, or a remaster that people can actually sink their teeth into, and not Days Gone remaster. So we'll see how all of that turns out. But Insomniac has been one of these standard bearers when it comes to PlayStation over the last half decade or so. The PlayStation 5 generation, I think, has been pretty bad for PlayStation in terms of its first-party output, but I really can't say anything negatively about Insomniac outside of the fact that not a big fan of Ratchet & Clank getting this long of a layoff. Rift Apart I thought was awesome, and we probably won't get a new Ratchet game until 2029, 2030. I get it, the Marvel bag is spicy, but that's more of a personal opinion that it just sucks that like, a franchise that was so so entrenched into PlayStation. Ratchet was a huge part of the PS2, was a huge part of the PS3, and with the PS4 and PS5 just seems one game a generation, move on to the next one, which is a bummer, man. That's a bummer to me. We got a whole arc of games in the PS3 with the future titles, with 2 major titles, and then a bunch of smaller games as well. You had 4 games on the PS2, and the game output is never going to be at that level, but 1 game a generation, that's just a little bit of a bummer. And if Rift Apart comes out in 21 and we're not going to get another Ratchet until whatever, 2029, 2030, that's a bummer to me, but that's more of a personal thing if I was really objectively to assess it. Yeah, you look at the sales numbers for some of these games, I can see why they're going with Spider-Man over my friendly Lombax. I get it, the Lombax ain't as marketable as Spider-Man, but like, it's just a personal thing as far as that's concerned. But hopefully some of these other studios, now that we've canned a lot of these live service games, can also prioritize a quality roadmap and have some games in development. I just don't think Bend is going to be putting... I honestly think Bend is going to get shut down. I think Days Gone 2 is never going to happen. I think you'll get a Days Gone remaster. I think Bend is going to get shut down, and they'll never get another game. Because if you look at it in terms of the standpoint of what has been done that's successful, they did Uncharted Golden Abyss on a platform that unfortunately wasn't big. Then they did Days Gone, a game that was deemed to be a commercial failure, a critical failure, however you want to describe it, and then they've been working years, millions spent on this game that's never going to come to fruition. Unfortunately, I just think Ben's going to get shut down, and Bluepoint, y'all can't shut down Bluepoint, but just sucks that we wasted their talents over the last 3 years to do a God of War live service game. And really, I get that they helped out with Ragnarok, but the fact that they haven't been working on anything that'll see the light of day since Demon's Souls Remake is just very depressing. Bend, nothing since 2019. Bluepoint, nothing since 2020. And all of these other canceled games, just an absolute clown show over at PlayStation. But what I will say as well, Insomniac had that thing with Spider-Man Great Web. They've been one of the consistent fixtures in terms of PlayStation's output, and without Insomniac, my goodness, this generation would absolutely suck. You pull out Ratchet, you pull out Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine from this generation, you're talking 3 major games this generation. Naughty Dog will probably have 1 major game this generation, and if you want to throw Miles Morales in there as well, that would be 4 major games for Insomniac. Depending on how you want to define cross-generational titles. For Santa Monica, again, if you want to count cross-gen games, it's 1 game. Guerrilla, it's 1 game with Horizon. And most developers, it's probably going to be 1 game. Naughty Dog, it's going to end up being 1 game. But Insomniac, it's been like 3 or 4 games, depending on how you want to define it. But yeah, hopefully they'll have some consistency, and if they have an off year in 25, I don't think that's the biggest deal in the world. It would be great to get something like a Venom, but 26 for Wolverine, and then parlay that with the X-Men game that is rumored as well. Following Wolverine, they've got a huge batch of games to come, and that's what I'm talking about. These games that Insomniac are working on, they are legit system movers. They are games that are going to be the big titles that will draw people in, and for any platform to be really successful, I should say, for a console to be really successful and establish that ecosystem over another console, really giving that differentiating factor, you need exclusives at that level, the marquee titles. It certainly helps to have a conglomeration of a lot of exclusives, but at the helm, you need a couple of games that are these standard bearers. And for Microsoft for a long time, that was Halo 3, that was Gears of War 2 and 3, that was Halo Reach. For Sony for a long time, that was the Uncharted games, and these days, that's more so Spider-Man and God of War. The Marvel titles, obviously, would be at that category as well, and if I'm looking at a platform that in 2026, one platform, if I'm deciding on getting an Xbox or a PlayStation, from a game standpoint, one platform has Wolverine and Marvel's Blade, the other platform only has Marvel's Blade, that's an issue. To me, that's an issue in terms of deciding on what console to buy, but Microsoft stepping out of the console ecosystem, that's an entirely different discussion for a different day. Y'all already know how I feel about that. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below and your hopes for Insomniac's future, because they are going to be the ones that 20 years from now, when you see your PlayStation 5 documentaries and and people talk about how bad the PS5 generation was in terms of PlayStation games output, I'm not talking about games, I'm not talking about console sales, because I have entirely different set of thoughts on that. I'm talking about sheer game output. It's been rather lackluster for PlayStation. However, Insomniac has been the hard carry, and nobody is going to deny that, and without Insomniac, it'd be a disaster, and hopefully they can retain that level of consistency for the rest of the generation. And with Wolverine in 26, hopefully Venom, I would think X-Men would ultimately be a PlayStation 6 title, and what a way to sell the PlayStation 6 to people than an X-Men game. X-Men as an exclusive. Oh my god, that is the game. That is the game that slam dunk home run draw people into that platform. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.